been 5 years since it happened, but I still remember every single detail, every second, the exact sound of his voice. It was a normal Tuesday afternoon at Jean Moulin High School, until it wasn't. It was a Tuesday in November, 2:37 p.m. exactly. I remember because I was watching the clock, waiting for physics class to end. It was gray outside, one of those autumn days where the sky seems to weigh down on you. Mrs. Rousseau was explaining something about thermodynamics when it started. First, we heard screaming, distant, coming from the main hallway. Then the loudspeaker crackled. The principal's voice came through, but it wasn't his usual voice. He was shaking. Attention, all teachers, immediate lockdown. This is not a drill. I repeat, this is not a drill. The silence in the classroom was deafening. Mrs. Rousseau went white. She ran to the door, locked it, and turned off the lights with a sharp movement. Her hands were trembling. Everyone to the back of the classroom, now, and not a sound. There were 28 of us students. We all huddled together in the corner farthest from the door, behind the chemistry cabinets. Some were already crying. Me, I had sweaty palms, and my heart was beating so hard I was sure everyone could hear it. The first few minutes were the worst. We knew nothing. Was it a shooter, a terrorist, a parent who had gone insane? Social media was already exploding. Messages were coming from everywhere. My friend Lucas whispered, "My brother's a senior. He says there's someone with a weapon in Building B." Mrs. Rousseau signaled us to put away our phones. Turn off anything that makes light now. That's when we heard the footsteps. In the hallway. Heavy. Slow. Deliberate. Then a man's voice. Calm. Too calm. "I know you're in there. Open this door. I just want to talk." Nobody moved. Nobody breathed. Sarah, sitting next to me, started trembling uncontrollably. I took her hand. It was ice cold. The man continued, "I said, open this door." The silence that followed was worse than the screaming. We could just hear his breathing on the other side of the door. Heavy. Panting. Then he started banging. Gently at first, then harder and harder. Bam, bam, bam. The door vibrated with each hit. Mrs. Rousseau was signaling us to move back. Even further, tears streaming silently down her face. The man tried the handle, once, twice. The door was holding. But for how long? "I'm going to count to 3, he said in a strangely soft voice. 1. My heart stopped. 2. Sarah was squeezing my hand so hard it hurt. 3. Boom. A gunshot. Deafening. The lock exploded into pieces of metal. Someone in the class screamed. I don't remember who. Everything was confused. The man pushed the door. It opened halfway before getting stuck on the desk that Mrs. Rousseau had pushed in front of it. "I know you're in there. Come out now." Through the opening, we could see part of his face. A man around 40 years old, red eyes, face covered in sweat, and in his right hand, a black revolver. It was Mrs. Rousseau who spoke. In a firm voice I'd never heard from her before, "There's only me here. The students all left through the other exit." "Liar!" he fired again. The bullet went through the desk and lodged in the wall just above our heads. Pieces of plaster fell on us. Then we heard other voices, louder, more authoritative. "Police! Drop your weapon! Hands in the air!" The man turned around. There was an exchange I didn't understand, shouting, orders. Then 3 gunshots. Fast, sharp, a thud, someone falling. Then silence, the longest silence of my life. Finally, someone knocked softly on the door. "It's the police. You can come out. It's over." Mrs. Rousseau asked to see their badge under the door before opening. We came out one by one, our legs shaking. In the hallway, there was blood. The man was lying on the ground, surrounded by police officers. He was still breathing. His eyes were open, staring at the ceiling. We learned later that it was the father of a former student who had been expelled the year before. He held the school responsible for all his son's problems. He had come armed, determined to get justice, as he said during his trial. He had already shot the vice principal, Mr. Bertine, before reaching our classroom. Mr. Bertine survived, but he lost the use of his left arm. The man was sentenced to 25 years in prison. But for us, the 28 students in that physics class, the sentence lasts a lifetime. I can't hear a gunshot anymore, even on TV, without my entire body freezing. Sarah had to leave the school and transfer to another one. Lucas still has nightmares. And every time I hear someone knock on a door, for a split second, I'm back in that dark corner of the physics classroom. Sarah's hand in mine, waiting to know if we were going to die. If you're still in high school, middle school, or college, pay attention to lockdown drills. Take them seriously, because sometimes it's not a drill. And sometimes those few seconds where you decide to follow instructions or not can make the difference between life and death. My name is Thomas. I'm 23 years old.